Okay, it's February 25th, and I'm filming this in the middle of a school hallway because that's where we're going to do it. This is the final update for our team 2381C, and I think this was definitely not a conventional robot that they built. So let's start from the drive base and let's work our way up. So, oh, maybe I shouldn't flip it that way. That'll break the intake. This works okay. We'll do it like this. So the drive base is really simple. It's just 6v5 motors. You've got these 6 wheels on drive. The center ones are locked. The issue with locked dummies is that the rubber on these actually just started totally falling apart. This one, I don't even know what happened. There's just nothing left on it. But you know what? They drove it quite well, and this has worked pretty well. These are 84 tooth, these are 60. There was a bit of issue with climbing, but you know, that's okay. And again, 6v5 motors on drive, really simple, just these 2 channels on each side, and they've got a few cross braces, so let's look at those. So each of the braces on their drive is attached like this. They've got the spacers, they've got a bearing, and then they've got the screws. It's the same thing on each side. Again, they used Nylox when the screws fell off and they wanted to replace them. We have 2 full cross braces, one here and one there. And again, this is a new Vex aluminum that looks like steel, and they are indeed 35 wide. All right, next thing, let's talk about this. Okay, so this thing here is actually a blocker. It's designed to go over robots and prevent them from shooting anything up above this, which was, you know, sort of the goal. Was designed to complement a shooter. It was designed to outdrive any of the other shooters and basically turn it into a 1v1, and then they would be paired with a better shooter and they would win. So something similar to 62A from last year. So of course they had this big wedge here. This was actually their post aligner. So they could drive this into a post and it would align enough for their cap lift to go over. This also prevented people from just straight up driving up the wedge. Like, this would catch on something and it would prevent them from driving up and tipping, which was really nice. This wedge is tensioned down, as you can see here, just with 2 standoffs. And there's a screw here on the awning that when this stays up like that, when this comes out, it is supposedly tensioned down, like there. Some stuff got bent during the competition. You got a bunch of loose screws. It's no longer as fluid as it used to be. So this wedge is supported by a 5 wide down the center and 2 3 wides on each side. These aren't actually proper screw joints, which is why, you know, there's big friction, but it's a wedge. It held. On the bottom, there's a piece of 2 wide going all the way across. Oh, it flipped out nicely then. This surprisingly hasn't bent yet, even though, you know, the entire job is to push people. A little bit of dent here and there, but that's about it. These pieces support this plate. The plate is actually unsupported from most of it, and it holds up fine. This doesn't actually dig into the mats when you push people. It goes right above the mats, so it just holds a few millimeters above, which is really good. It gets really low. You've got these 2 wides that go all the way back from one cross brace down to the other to hold up the wedge. And then you've got these 2 wides on bearings here, holding up that screw joint. This plate here used to mount the brain. It was in the middle of the robot somewhere where it wouldn't get hit when we ran into other robots. They spilled Coke on the brain, so they're replacing that. This used to be for a double park mech. We're just going to ignore it for now. They've got their awning mounted just on a long 3 wide. You know, that's pretty typical. And they made this so it would go all the way in size with the awning back, and then they would come out and still, you know, stay within size. But this is basically right at 18. There's nothing that can't go over. They've got spacers to keep it as high as it needs to be, and then they've got these things here acting as triangle braces. And the reason why these are so good is because you can still get this over somebody without worrying about that lip catching until you're basically all the way over then, and then you can use that, you know, it doesn't get in the way. These bars here don't line up, so when they made their plates, they screwed one side in here, one side in there, and then they took a little you know, cut 5 wide, and one on this side, one on the other side, to keep those plates together, and it works really nicely. So yeah, that's the awning. That's a shot blocker. It's powered off of one motor. It's actually driven. It used to be driven. It used to be driven 1-to-1 on 200. They changed it to be driven, I think, 1-to-5 on 200. Just so that they could actually push people off center with this thing all the way down. They could just run into people on the center platform and push them down. Do note, this is not in size. This is in size. So there you are. And let's talk about the lift now. This is a really simple robot. This is just a very, very simple lift. So as it comes down, and it capsizes into here, and then it lifts up, and then it can go all the way up. So these towers are really far out just because that's how the spacing ended up working. You could have attached it off of this 3-wide or whatever, and the spacing would work nicely, but it wouldn't have cleared the wheels, so they took a long piece of C-channel across, and that's how they're supporting this. They have standoffs here bracing this a little bit so it doesn't wobble as much. Secured on one side, and then standoff on the other side so it doesn't wobble as much. There's not a lot of flex in this thing. Most of it comes from the towers itself actually wobbling around. This is weird, where they just took 2 screws and put it through. However, it would sort of fit. Off the C-channel, they're using this as like an L piece. They should have used an aluminum plate, but they didn't, so that's okay. This is screwed into there, and then screwed down just to help keep everything parallel. Standoff spacers, another C-channel. This is to help de-score, I believe. This is a hard stop so that they could also ram from this side and, you know, have support so you wouldn't break the motors down there. And that's actually their entire robot. This thing just comes around and dumps the cap there. You know how it works. This thing would come back when you were dumping caps. Interesting thing is this can actually, I think, for most of the range of motion, this thing has, like, nothing interferes. Like, this is the farthest it would go for a cap on a post. That thing can still go underneath it, which was pretty cool. So you could block people in the back. Obviously, some things have gone misaligned over the days, but you know what? That's okay. The hard stop for this is to prevent this from going far back. They actually used bearing on a plate. So triangle banding. I don't know how much it does, but it works. So that is that. Lift towers. They never mounted these properly, actually. There should be a screw in there that they never put on, but it's just standoff, screw, nut, there. So I guess that's supposed to be box bolted, but it's not really doing the box bolty thing. It's that's also, you can just take a look at that and make of it what you will. Just, yeah. That's it. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. This is geared all the way down because this awning thing has to clear that motor. So they've got it geared 1-to-5, and they've got just gears running all the way up. They didn't want to use long shafts, so they put this thing in the middle, and it's their radio mounted all the way on the side. That is the robot.